So last week I spent Monday to Friday not writing at all. Like, I tried not to even open my manuscript documents, and I was going a little bit crazy because I just wanted to work on it, but I genuinely didn't have the time to be working on it because I had 3 exams last week and I had other assignments to do. So it was for the best that I kept myself away from the project, but I didn't realize how much I crave working on Project Camelot every day, or I have off days where I just don't feel like writing, but the vast majority of days I just want to work on it in some capacity, which is a good feeling. But I need to be really conscious of how I'm taking breaks, trying to avoid burnout, because when I wrote my first draft, I'd been working on the book almost non-stop for 3.5 months, from my 0 draft to my first draft. I was exhausted by the end of that because I just didn't give myself time to breathe and really rest properly, and so the end of the book was really rushed because I just wanted to get to the end of it. I am about 81,000 words in manuscript right now. It's been hovering between 80 to 82,000 because I've been adding words and then cutting things, rearranging scenes. It's kind of been fluctuating just at around this word count. I have been working on chapter 10, which is the beginning of the section that definitely needs the biggest rewrite, complete rewrite, because I have to take out a plot line essentially. I've also been working on just really trying to solidify the midpoint, because the way I could arrange things, not in the order, but the way I've arranged the midpoint scenes, and the scenes around the midpoints, I just wanted to make sure that everything was really solid. So I've probably outlined the midpoint 5 times since I started working on this book last year, and I did that again this weekend, and I think it is good. I feel good about it. One of the things that I've been having trouble with for the second half of the book is just the logistics of how characters are getting to certain places, the timelines that they're traveling, and so I've been trying to, as much as possible, bring everyone to one place so that the climax of the book can happen just very accessibly for the sake of telling the story. It was characters were a bit scattered in my first draft, and so I kind of had this thing where the main characters, the protagonist and the MMC and one of the other main characters, had a way of traveling really quickly, and I didn't want to use that because I want there to be limitations to all of the magic systems in the book. I've been trying to just streamline, condense, make everything as simple as possible so that everything just happens in a really logical way, and they're not just jumping back and forth between places. This whole draft really has been fixing the logistics of certain situations and making everything make sense in so many ways. So yeah, I have been just having to problem solve all these things. Another thing I've been trying to do is cut out as much as of the side character scenes as possible, because I didn't realize when I was writing the first draft that I was placing like too much importance on the side characters, and now I'm like going through and I want more scenes just focused on the main characters, to show like their progression and their growth. So I have to streamline everything to be just the scenes that matter most to the main characters, and in those scenes, as much as possible, I have to show the arcs of the side characters. I did have some fun yesterday looking up my main 4 characters, their Enneagram types. Based off of how I've like written them, I was like looking at the types, trying to see like what fits best, and weirdly enough, I was able to like perfectly, like just like very quickly decide. Like I just looked at the list, and because I'm really familiar with Enneagram types already, I just looked at the list and I was like, okay, this is this character, this is this character. So the FMC is a type 2. I'm not like super good at like determining like their wings, but I would say she's probably a 2 wing 3. The MMC, who's the secondary protagonist, his type is type 1, possibly a type 1 wing 2. The FMC's love interest is a type 8, hands down, like definitely a type 8, probably a type 8 wing 9. And the MMC's love interest, the 4th main character, is a type 9 wing 1. And I really like those types for them. Like the Enneagram has kind of like laid out each type's fears and their like needs and wants, and then how they kind of like act when they're at their worst and then at their best. Perfectly aligned with them. I was really happy with that, and I didn't like just write them in ways that didn't make sense. Like no, like I know them. I've also been trying to read Susie. I really like the writing in this. I think I really like Madeline Miller's writing style. Like the prose is just like quite similar to how I want my writing style to sound like, in terms of like it's descriptive, but it's not like doing too much, it's not too flowery, it's not like just meandering. It gets to the point, but it's really descriptive at the same time and really concise. I've read Song of Achilles and I loved that book. It's definitely like one of my favorite books ever, I think. Don't really remember much about like Stacey in like Greek mythology, but from like the vibes I'm getting, I really do think this is a good book to read right now, for just like general inspiration for my main 2 female characters. My main 4 is 2 male characters and 2 female characters. So for my FMC and her love interest, I'm really getting a sense that Stacey will remind me of both of them, which I'm looking forward to see if I'm right. Madeline Miller has a way of writing these chapters that just really just enraptures me. The first chapter of Song of Achilles and this really feels like story time. Like, let me break down my whole like origin, but it's just done in a way that like really sets up what the story is about, and the mood and the tone of it is just so fitting. And I think it's just really well done. The last bit of chapter 1 in CC is, such were my ears then, I would like to say that all the while I waited to break out, but the truth is, I'm afraid I might have floated on, believing those dull miseries were all there was until the end of days. And then the last paragraph of chapter 1 in Song of Achilles is one of my favorite parts of the book. It's basically Patroclus saying reflecting on his memories of his youth with his mother, and this one memory he has of his mother is he's not even sure if it's real or not. And I just find it so interesting because his mother doesn't really have much of a direct impact on the story, and it's really only the first chapter or the beginning of the book that she's spoken about. But there's something about the tone of that last paragraph of chapter 1 in Song of Achilles, and I think the last the end of chapter 1 in this also has that kind of just the retrospective reflective tone, which I really like stories told in retrospect, I think, which I don't think I've done much of, which is interesting. But I like it, but I don't really write it. I'm hoping I will like this. I don't really remember much of what happens to her. In contrast to Song of Achilles, I did know how the Trojan War kind of escalated. So when I was reading that, I was just reading in a state of dread, and I took frequent breaks. I stopped a lot because I was just so stressed out, and then when I finally read it, I did cry. Okay, time to go write, and then I have an assignment due tomorrow that I need to write up. I just came back from an exam, and I have 2 hours before I have my next class, and then I have a lab this afternoon. So I'm gonna try to write a little bit because I always find that writing as early as possible in the day just helps me take my mind off of it in the afternoon or the evening when I come back from my classes, and it's just something I don't need to think about if I do it in the morning. Doing it in the morning as well helps put a time limit, okay, I only have this amount of time to write, and I can't go over that, which is good because if I start writing I can go for 3 hours without wanting to stop, which can be a problem in the evening and nighttime when I need to be sleeping. I'm currently working on chapters 10 and 11 right now. I'm having to fix or patch over some stuff with the MMC. Originally, because of what happens at the catalyst, he would be doing certain things in these 2 chapters, but I changed how the catalyst happens, and so it removes the need for him to be doing what he was originally doing in these 2 chapters. So I either need to cut those scenes entirely, or I can replace them with something else, but I'm not sure if I need those scenes yet. So I'm just focusing on the FMC's scenes in these 2 chapters for now, which they're really important scenes, but they're also very emotionally difficult scenes to write, and I have not been mentally well equipped to work on this part of my FMC's arc. Like, it just makes me really sad. And so I'm just kind of like brushing over it and just like jumping around and like working on different parts in these 3 chapters. Yeah, I want to like get them done quickly so I can move on. But the changes I've been making to Act 2 are finally like really starting to click into place. Like, I've trimmed out so many events, so many like plot points, and I'm like really just trying to keep it to exactly what needs to happen. And it's now looking like really solid without being too long and having like too much stuff from side characters and like other like subplots. So yeah, like one of my big worries when I like started working on draft 2 was that I started to realize how much plot I had, and if I wrote the book with all of that, the book would have been anywhere from like 120,000 words to 150,000 words. As much as like I want to write my epic fantasy book in as much detail as possible, realistically I need to keep it as close to 100,000 words as possible. So it's been a tricky time trying to condense everything, but I also think it's making it better. Like, I'm having to like simplify everything, condense it so that it's just the most important things. And you know, if I need to add scenes after, that's like a whole other thing, but I can just like see the book getting stronger, and I'm really happy about that. I have like the first page of my documents with like my working title for the book, and I chose like a really nice font. I think it's called Glamour, but with like an E. I got it on like fonts online. I'm using that as like the title font. I also use that font for like, I made like a mock cover when I finished the first draft, just like as a little reward, something that I could look at, and I use this font as well. And when I see the title like this, it just like, it makes me so happy. I don't know, especially like the point in the book where I am now. The theme that the title like touches on, it really relates. Like, you're really seeing that theme and that aspect of the book in the part of the book that I'm in right now. It's like a thread that's like woven through the story in like multiple ways through multiple characters, but I think it's like interesting in this part of the book. It's very distressing. Hopefully, you know, eventually I can see what the title is, because I'm getting kind of tired calling it Project Camelot, and I just want to call it by my working title. But yeah, I'll save the title reveal for now. I'm like in a really busy part of my semester now, so I'm having like less and less time to write, and also getting less and less sleep, so. Hi. It's Sunday, 23rd of March. I'm currently working on chapter 14. I finished chapter 11 at the start of the week. I skipped past chapter 12 because that's like a really action heavy scene that I'm gonna write a little bit later. And I did a lot of work on chapter 13, but it's not done yet. But I've moved forward just to kind of keep up the momentum a little bit. The thing about writing draft 2 is that like I'm seeing the book improving, but I'm working at such a slow pace because I'm like trying to, do a lot of changes, make a lot of improvements. Because it's taking me so long, like I prefer to get through my drafts a lot faster. So I'm just feeling like a little bit stuck, even though, I am making progress and the book is getting better. I've been hovering around 84,000 words because I've basically just been rewriting scenes that were already at full length. So these last few chapters have been between like 3,000 and 4,000 words, and they're like completely rewritten, but they ended up at the same length. So I think that'll be the case for the rest of Act 2, because most of the chapters are quite long already. There's just a couple that are under 3,000 words. So yeah, I am someone who prefers shorter chapters. Like I hate a long chapter. I think that a short chapter really keeps the momentum going. So for the most part, all of the chapters in the book are under 5,000 words. And I think the longest I want to keep them is about 4,500 words. But we'll see how that turns out when I'm line editing. I don't know like what it's gonna look like at the end. I've been really enjoying writing this book. Like I'm at the point in the book where the central themes are starting to show themselves. I'm hoping to finish up to the end of chapter 15, and then finish chapter 12 and 13 as well. And I'll stop there until after finals, because I really want to like lock in and make sure that I get good grades. Like I don't want to get too caught up in trying to like get this book done when I'm like then just not paying attention to what's going on in life, because I do get very sucked into my writing projects, to the point that I'm like just kind of spaced out all the time, which is why I like getting my drafts done really quickly, because then it feels like it's infringing on my life a bit less, because then I can, the breaks between working on drafts of books, I feel like a normal person, but when I'm writing, like when I'm in the thick of it, I just like I feel like half a human because my brain is just stuck in this book. But I'm so excited to get this book done as well. I love where it's going. I can really see my vision for it coming to life, and I'm really happy about that. It's just falling into place a lot. My focus for this draft, for draft 2, was just to make it functional, but it's definitely becoming functional, but I'm also seeing like so much depth come out of it. Like I'm seeing like so much of the world and just the character growth just coming to life. And I don't know, I'm feeling so much while writing this book, and it's just like I'm grateful for the experience that it's giving me. Something I was doing for the past couple of months. So in December, when I started draft 2, I also started drafting versions of my query letters. So every month since December, I've been making like a new draft of my query letter. This month, I got some feedback on it, edited it, got a bit more feedback. Now that I'm like looking at my query letter, it's definitely like, it's like almost there. It's like there's some things with like the pitch of the book that will need to be tweaked. Like there's always like details that you can clarify and stuff. And I'm like way far off from querying, but it's in a good shape now, and I'm happy about that. That like gives me the peace of mind that when I am ready to query, it will just be there, ready and waiting, and I will just need to send it out with the other materials. Writing the query letter was so useful in kind of streamlining specifically the FMC, her internal like arc, her motivations, what she needed to be doing, making her as active as possible. And I'm so glad that even though like I'm so far off from querying, that I drafted the query letter, because it's really helped me define like exactly what my FMC needs to be doing, because I was really worried about making her too passive, but now I feel like she's she's doing a lot. She's going through the arc that I wanted her to have, so I'm feeling very good about that. The other thing is I started brainstorming my next project. I'm decided on what I want my next project to be. I don't know if I've spoken about it yet, but the code name is Project Dreams, and I'm very excited to write it. It's a book that I've been trying to write. Anyways, it was a book that I've been trying to write since 2020. It was my Camp NaNoWriMo April Camp NaNoWriMo project in 2020, and I could never really solidify the plot of the book, like the central plot line. Plot is always like the hardest thing for me, which is why like my early drafts are so focused on just like getting the plot right. But I finally have a direction that I want to go in with this book. Like everything just kind of came together, and I want to outline that book in between drafts 2 and 3 of Project Camelot, so that, you know, once I hit the query trenches with this book, with Project Camelot, I will be ready to write Project Dreams. In terms of what I've been reading, I'm about halfway through A Dark and Drowning Tide, which is going really well. I'm about like 15% into Sissy. With those books, I've been like just taking my time, really like soaking in the descriptions, and like I love Madeline Miller's prose, so I've just been like really like dissecting it as I go. I'm also still reading Devotions by Mary Oliver, because it's a long collection, so I'm probably like 60% in, I think. I find it so hard to take breaks while writing this book, which is kind of weird for me, because I used to have such like a hard time getting myself to like focus and write consistently. I would write like a couple times a week, but I wouldn't write every day. With this book, I'm like writing every day, and the days that I don't write is because I'm like too busy, and I have to like force myself to take time off to recover, because I don't want myself burning out, but I just love working on the book. I want to see it in its final form. I've been adding so many words just with like interiority with the FMC. Like it's great. It feels like I really tapped into her voice and her like mind now. But it's kind of funny because I know I'm gonna have to cut a lot of it in my next draft. But it's good to like know like what she's thinking and the things she would be reflecting on. All of my ideas now are just like high fantasy and secondary world fantasy, which is really fun. I'm glad that I like, you know, like I started off writing fantasy when I was a kid, and then I stopped writing fantasy and I was writing a lot of like contemporary books that kind of bordered on literary fiction, but I didn't really know what literary fiction was. So then got back into fantasy through Project Dreams. I've rambled enough, but I haven't updated in a while, so that's my excuse. Hi, I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of an update at the end here because I didn't record during April, I think, but I did do some like writing related things. So in April I had like the end of my semester and then I had finals. So busy time all around. I took that entire month off from working on Project Camelot. I was brainstorming another project that I do plan on writing after Project Camelot, hopefully, which is Project Dreams. In the span of like 2 weeks, I took like 22 pages of notes in my notebook for this project. Like, for me, that's like a lot of notes to take. During this time in April, I outlined the entire book within like a day and a half, which is kind of crazy to me because usually outlining takes me a while to piece together everything. And obviously it wasn't like super in-depth outlining, but I had the entire like structure of the book down really quickly, and I knew like what the major conflicts was and like how everything was going to tie together. It's just so bizarre. Like, it's just all like handwritten notes of outlining, and then I like went in and like kind of broke them down into chapters where I could. So yeah, Project Dreams is like sitting, waiting for me to write it, but I don't have the time to work on it right now because I want to work on Project Camelot and finish that book before I start drafting this. But yeah, I'm really happy with the stuff I got done for Project Dreams. during like a week. It was like just 1 week of like madness where I was just like scribbling like crazy. And I like outlined the book, and then I was like doing all this research. And I have like so many articles bookmarked. I have like the basis of the magic system down. Question mark. Magic systems are kind of hard for me sometimes depending on the project, but yeah, this is like I'm really happy with where the book is right now. So yeah, that's basically the update I wanted to give. It's actually like May 11th right now, so I've been my finals finished about a week ago. I've been like trying to recover, and like I'm like slowly getting back into writing Project Camelot. I'm on like chapter 14, like the middle of act 2 right now, out of act 4, out of 4 acts. So I have a long way to go for draft 2 of Project Camelot still. Hopefully I can finish draft 2 by the end of June. That might be ambitious, but I want to like maximize the time I have right now.